That's really about it. Good afternoon. My name is Jeff Grunfeld, Chairman of the Speakers Program. As you no booze? What? Well, you see, we have with us today Carol Burnett, a very gifted personality.
Oh, what a nice group. Thank you.
Hey. Star of stage, screen, and TV. In addition to which, she's a very warm and personal human being, Miss Carol Burnett.
Thank you. Thanks, Jeff.
Let me just add that we'll take questions from the mics. We have roving mics.
Oh, great. Yeah, okay.
I guess she'll have a few introductory words, and then she'll throw it open to the audience, and we have roving mics going around. Please use the mics because this is it's being taped for our communications archives, as are all of our speeches, and in addition, so that everyone else can hear your questions.
I doubt if what I'll say will go in the time capsule. When I was asked to come here, I was very excited because I was a student here a couple of years ago, and there was one little shack and an outhouse, and so it's really great to be back on campus and get lost. And I really had no speech, and I read in the paper this morning, it's still called the Bruin, isn't it? Good. Something hasn't changed. And it said, I will speak. And I'm not good at that or making speeches. So Jeff was kind enough to say that we could throw it open to questions. So I hope somebody has some. Otherwise, it's going to be a short lunch hour. And it is nice to see such friendly faces out there. There's a roving mic. Is that his name or what he's holding? There's a young gentleman. Yes. It's okay with me, but I'm afraid that if I do one, then that might get us in trouble, and I would feel that I'd have to do if anybody would want it. What's your name? Steve, you know what you could do, which would be terrific? Write me in care of CBS Television City, and I promise I'll pay the postage, and I'll send you a picture. And if you don't want a picture of me, I'll send you one of Raquel Welch. Okay? Okay, Steve. Yeah.
Seeing that you're a movie star, do you think it's a new change of direction that you don't have to be real good looking?
Well, it's difficult to answer that question in as much as it doesn't apply to me, but when I first got interested in show business, I decided to go to New York. I left UCLA because I didn't look like either Marilyn Monroe or Tony Curtis, and those right then were the stereotype, and the beautiful people. And in New York, one would have more of an opportunity. And I think now, with the realism, it is coming back, and they have hired the uggos and the plain people. And frankly, myself, I hope they'll start hiring the beautiful people again, because I love to watch the old movies on television and see some of the glamour. And if I ever do another movie, I'd sure like to be fixed up. It might take plastic surgery, but I'm willing to do it.
Ms. Burnett, I'd like to know what inspired you and what gave you confidence in the beginning.
UCLA, oddly enough, and I'm not saying that because I went here. I came here to major in journalism. And there was no undergraduate school of journalism. And like I said, not even the outhouse had that. And so there isn't one today either, huh? So what I did, I joined the Daily Bruin, and I majored in theater arts English, and I planned on taking the playwriting courses, and I thought maybe I'd be Brenda Starr, write plays. I didn't know what. And when I majored in theater arts, I had to take an acting course. Acting 2A it was called, and you have to take that in TA even if you want to paint scenery or light or do sound or direct or what. And so in taking the acting course, I heard some laughs. I did a comedy scene and they laughed, and the bug bit, so I switched my whole way of thinking. And at that time I was 18, and I'd never even thought about doing it. I was goody two-shoes all the way through school, and I got A's and B's and was very quiet. And I never dreamed that I would ever be as crazy as I am. There's a roving, here's a young lady here in front, Mr. Mike. In the red.
Do a little bit of Zelda.
You want me to do a little bit of Zelda? No. May I tell you how the Zelda happened? We all have relatives like that who are pains in the neck. And we were doing a takeoff one week on A Place in the Sun. That was a movie George Stevens directed that starred Shelley Winters and Montgomery Clift and Elizabeth Taylor. And there was a scene in the movie where Montgomery Clift wanted to kill Shelley Winters. So we did a satire on it. So I started whining as Shelley did in the movie. And she really didn't sound like Zelda, but that's how she grew, and that's how I grew. And that's how George, because his name in the movie was that, and I kept on doing her, and then pretty soon she got really out of proportion. Actually, I don't like to do her too much anymore because she gives me a headache. Any others? Yes.
Corky, I would like to ask you, what was the scene that you played at UCLA? Can you remember?
It was an original. Well, no, the first scene I did was from Petrified Forest. And not that that was a comedy, but there were one or two lines that the girl had in the diner that got laughs. And then I went into a couple of one-acts that were original. One was called Keep Me a Woman Grown, and it was took place down south, but they were all student-written and directed. Do they still do that?
Yeah.
Great, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, Miss Burnett, I just moved here from Seattle 2 days
Carol,
ago.
please.
Carol. Okay, Carol. I just moved here from Seattle, Washington 2 days ago and loving the sun. And I'd like to know when you're going to be back up in Seattle again. The people up there just love you.
Thank you. I don't think I've ever been to Seattle. Have I been there?
Excuse me, I didn't mean again. As far as the movies and TV and everything.
Oh, well.
Watching you through the media.
Oh, aren't we shown in Seattle?
Yes.
Oh, we are.
Yes.
Oh, but you want to know if I'm ever going to go to
KIRO.
Seattle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, okay.
That's very nice. It rains a lot there, doesn't it?
That's why I'm here.
That's okay. I love the rain, so I'll go there and you're here. Yeah.
I heard you on the Bill Balance Feminine Forum.
Yes.
I'd like to know the story of your secret romance with Bill.
Oh. Oh, I don't know how many of you listen. It's KGBS, and there's a marvelous, well, it's a funny program, Bill Balance hosts called The Feminine Forum, and I just happened to turn it on the car radio one day, and I almost ran into a post, because all these ladies call up and they tell their secrets on the air. Like one says, my name is Carmelita Z, and I live in Pomona, and my husband drives a beer truck, and I have a lover. Now if the husband's listening to the radio driving his beer truck, there's a murder in Pomona that night, And so I just started listening to him, and then one day he had a subject that I could relate to, so I called him up. Have you ever successfully disguised yourself? So I called him, and I got through to him, and then he came over and visited us one day, and that was about it. There's no secret romance. It's all right out in the open. Yeah. Yes. That's okay. I can repeat your question if he doesn't get to you.
I want to know if you got in touch with your old friend from Hollywood High. You mentioned on the Johnny Carson.
The young man wants to know if I ever got in touch with my old friend from Hollywood High. You mean the boy I had the crush on? Well, I have tried. God knows. No, actually, I had a crush on him from junior high school, LeConte Junior High, all the way through Hollywood High School, and his name was Tommy Tracy. Isn't that cute? And he looked just like his name. Tommy Tracy, and all the girls had big crushes on him, and I don't even think he remembered me. With 6 years we were in school together, and I was, oh, hi, Carol. And then in the album, the senior high school album, I finally got him to sign to me, as we were graduating, and he said, to a pill that's hard to take, so I don't think I made... a big impression on him. But I keep mentioning his name all the time, hoping that he would get in touch, because you always remember your first school crush, you know, and I want to know, I hope he's fat and has pimples and everything, because he never noticed me, you know. And he's the reason when I went into show business that I didn't change my name, because if I made it, I sure wanted Tommy Tracy to know about it. But I've heard rumors that he's a high school principal in the Valley, and I think I've ruined his life because I mention him all the time on TV. Yes, down here in front. Oh, the young lady just gave me a terrific compliment. Actually, I will disagree with you, but first I'll say what you said. That I had a high level of concentration, and you felt that if they dropped a bomb next to me during a sketch, I wouldn't notice it. Well, I've done so many bomb sketches, maybe that's why. No, actually, I do have a good level of concentration, but there are a few times when I break up. And mostly it's, I can see it in Harvey Korman's eyes. When he's going to go, I go. And Tim Conway can do it to me every time. He has little inside things he does. You know, when a joke doesn't go, he'll do this with his hand and like that with his eye. And then sometimes if something isn't going well, I'll wiggle my nose at Harvey. I can make my nostrils dilate, you know, go back and forth like that. Then he goes, you know. But it's only if we're not too thrilled with the material that we goof around. If we really believe in the sketch and like what we're doing, for instance, my favorite things are the movie takeoffs. And if we really believe in those, I think it's really wrong to break up, because then you get away from the satire and the intent of the sketch. You know, like we did a takeoff on Love Story, and you could not have made me break up in that, because that I felt was a very well-written sketch. But sometimes you can almost save a sketch by goofing off. In certain instances, you can break the fourth wall.
Carol? Mm-hmm. Over here on your right.
Oh.
Hi. I was wondering, two questions. I thought Tim Conway did on last Sunday. It was really great. I was wondering if you're going to have him anymore.
Yeah, well, now let's see. We've only got 3 more to tape, so he won't be on anymore this season. I think last Saturday was, you got it on Sunday?
Oh, Saturday.
No, last Saturday I think was his last appearance for this season, but we've had Tim on more than any other guest. I think he's very, not underrated, because those who watch him know that he's a genius. I just don't think he's made his mark yet with the general public. I have never seen a more creative comedian in my life, nor worked with one. He comes up with new things each time he does the same sketch, and he saves the best for the air show. And he cracks up the crew and everything. And the man is a genius, and his mind never stops, and he has more guts. He will, like when he plays the old man, he will take the time to walk across that stage. You know, even if they're not laughing, most of us would then give up and hurry across. Not Tim. He just takes his, and pretty soon they start laughing. Did you see at the time he sat on the doorknob? He had not done that all week. Hadn't done it one bit. He was supposed to get up on top of the door and try to open the door with his feet, because the knob was highly waxed. And it wasn't until the air show he just straddled it. Now, I know he hurt his crotch, but he got his laugh. And so, you know, we're all crazy that way. We'll do anything.
Well, second, I was just wondering,
Yes.
Are you going to do the Wild Dancer anymore? The last...
The what, dear?
You know, a skit with the Wild Dancer? I forget
Oh,
her name.
Charo.
Is that who it is?
Oh. Well, she's a new one. I've done her twice now. I love to see her on the talk shows, and so she was in my mind. I thought, well, that might be a good one to do. I'm not very good at accents, but her whole, you know, the attitude and everything is so terrific. And so I did her a week ago Saturday, and I enjoyed it. I don't want to do her too much, however. She really took it beautifully. Christmas, a package arrived at the door. At first I thought it might be ticking. It was from Charo, and it was a painting, and on the back of it, it was by her husband, Kugat, who is an artist also. And she was very nice, and she said, "Thank you for doing me, and Happy New Year, and I like you very much. Coochie coochie, love Charo." I thought that was very nice, because some people don't take it in a good way, even though we mean it that way. Yes?
Yeah, I'd like to know if you think that people who want to go into theater today, whether they should stay in school and get a degree, or is it more profitable to try and go to New York?
Oh, wow. I don't think a degree is absolutely necessary, no. I think it's terrific to get a year or two, at least, of college, because oddly enough, the more you learn, the more you can apply it. Even in some of the dumb sketches we do, things come back to me that I might have picked up in even history, you know, or English classes, or sometimes even some of the teachers. But if you don't finish school, keep reading and keep doing things. Now, as far as going to New York goes, I don't know if, unless you want to go on Broadway. Now, I think it's all the action is out here. When I was here, most of the action was in New York for people like me. I wanted to be Ethel Merman, and I wanted to be on Broadway, and so that's why I went there. But all your television, except for the soaps, are centered out here. Your movie industry is all over the place, but it's basically here. And I think the only reason to go back to New York would be maybe perhaps some schools back there, professional schools, might be a little better than out here, and of course Broadway.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Carol? Yes. Oh, you have, this is the roving mic. Here's a gentleman here. Oh, thank you. He was plugging our movie, Pete and Tilly. Thank you very much. Walter Matthau is exactly the way he is in the movies. I didn't know him really at all. I'd met him once at a party for Jack Lemmon over an hors d'oeuvre tray and said hello, and that was it, you know, and I was pretty much in awe of him, and he called me to do this picture. And I was very surprised because when they told me Walter Matthau was calling, I thought, usually when movie stars call people like me, it's because they want me to do a benefit or donate money to a political party or something like that. And when he said, I got on the phone, I said, "Mr. Matthau," and he said, "Do you still love me?" And I said, "Oh, more than ever. What do you want?" And he said, "Would you like to work with me?" And I said, "As a Pope Catholic, of course, you know, I'd love to work." And he sent the script over, and I said yes. And he was very generous and very helpful. He talks dirty, but after the first shock of what he says, pretty soon it's like a little boy. You know, he just loves to see if he can get a rise out of you and shock you. So after a while, you know, I would just ignore him or answer him forthrightly, which then shocked him. And he was really marvelous.
Carol?
Well, the reason we did Petrified Forest as a takeoff on our show was because the writers turned it in, and I had nothing to do with it. Sometimes I have a lot to do with sketches. If I have an idea, see something on TV or in the movies that I might want to do a takeoff on, I'll go into the head writers and suggest it, and if they spark to it, then they'll write it. They just happened to think of that. It had nothing to do with the fact that I had that had been my first acting scene here. To go back and do it again? Well, not really, because it wasn't, I don't think, one of our best takeoffs. I think it could have been a lot better. I think the reason we did it, Stevie Lawrence was a guest, and Steve is pretty good at imitations, which he just started doing when he was a guest on our show. And he had fun with Bogart, and Paul Sand I thought was marvelous as the Mad Dog Killer. You know, so it was all right, but I've got my favorites. Mm-hmm. Oh, why did I decide to dress up as Charo on the Johnny Carson show? Well, actually, I can't say no when people ask me to do a talk show, and I hate to do them. They make me very nervous. And then you usually come out and they say, hello, how are you? I'm fine, I'm plugging my movie. Here's my television show. They've changed the time slot, haha, boring commercials, you know. So, I thought, why not go bananas and put on the Charo outfit and come out and really totally lay it on the line and make an ass out of myself and then sit down, you know. And it was fun to do. And so that's why I did it, because it was a different type of entrance, you know, for me anyway.
Carol?
Yeah. Mhm.
Carol?
Yes.
Can you give us some hints on how to get tickets for your show?
Oh, well, we only have 3 more shows to tape, and we tape on Fridays. Now, I don't know what the ticket situation is, because I have nothing to do with the CBS ticket situation. And usually my tickets, I get 4, and they go to the kids. The best thing to do is to call CBS or write them in advance. Now, I don't, usually we have a few seats at the dress rehearsal, which is at 4:30 on Fridays, and then the air show is around 7:15 or 7:30 at night. And sometimes people, they don't sell the tickets, but they oversell them in a sense, so that sometimes we do have empty seats. People can't come for some reason, and then if you are in the no-ticket line, you can't get in. But I wouldn't recommend, you know, I'd feel bad if you stood out there and didn't get in. So it's usually best to have one. Thank you. Oh, Burt Reynolds is the cutest. Oh, listen to the girls. No, he's very, one thing about him, I met him before he buried himself in Cosmopolitan and before his really big success. And he hasn't changed, which is very nice. He has a terrific sense of humor about himself, and I think that's what's going to keep him a big star. Nothing has gone to his head, and he's also a very good actor, and I think he proves that in Deliverance. And if he gets some good scripts and keeps that humor about himself, I think he'll go very far.
Carol?
Yes?
Burt Reynolds, he said that if he had to be alone on a desert island, he would pick you.
Yes.
Since then, have you had any offers for a centerfold?
Have I had any offers for a centerfold?
Yes.
Yeah, Field and Stream. Popular Mechanics have been calling too. No, that was very nice of him. Bert's nice, but he's nearsighted.
Carol,
Uh-huh.
I've heard so much about your exercise class that you conduct at the
Yes.
studio. I was wondering if you could ever come here and conduct one at UCLA.
I would love to, except, you know, when I'm working, it's too hard to get back and forth, and I have the class at CBS, but if you can get a bunch of your group, all you need, really, is 4 days a week, a half an hour a day, really, is all you need. And you can get a lot of them from the Canadian Air Force book, you know, of exercises, sit-ups and things, you know. I've even got fellas in the class, and I went on a diet, and I lost 20 pounds, but then all around in here it was just hanging, you know, like lava. And you think, well, you know, when you lose a lot of weight like that, you have it's got to go somewhere, so it just was kind of, you know, little around. And so that's when I got the exercise thing. So I went from a size 14 to an 8 in about a year. And it works. It really does. It's a pain, though, to do. But if you have a lot of people with you, you can suffer together, and it goes a lot faster. And use some music, you know, album. Yeah. Belly dancing would be very interesting, but I don't have any stones to put in my navel, which I think would help. I'm an NZ, however, in case anybody's interested. Yeah.
Carol, I'd like to know whether you're in the movement and what you think of women's lib.
I'm all for women's lib. Oh, now don't boo male chauvinism out of No, I have never been prejudiced against because in my business, if they want a lady to do something, they hire a lady for it, so I have not come up against that. But I certainly do get irate at some of the things that the women are put through. And I know a lot of them are very butch when they get on shows, and I think that kind of hurts. I don't think Women's Lib is against being feminine. I think they just want equality, and I think they deserve it. And I think they have very good representation in people like Gloria Steinem. I'd like to see more ladies like her with the movement. Yeah. How do my kids react to my being in show business? Well, I started bringing them to the show, each one of them, when they were 2.5. They are now 9, 6, and 4. I have 3 girls. And they take it, I want them to know that that's what I do and that it's not that special. And so they come and they watch the show. They don't often watch it on television. It's not their favorite show. And if something isn't good, they'll go, and they take it on their own. I've often been asked, when am I going to put them on the show? And I never will, because my standard answer is, my old lady didn't have a television show of her own, let them get theirs. And if they want to go into the business when they're old enough, when they're 18, 19, I won't discourage it because I think it's a very rewarding business. I just hope they have talent and perseverance. But not when they're kids. Kids should be with kids. Yeah?
What was the selection procedure upon choosing Lyle Wagner?
Oh, how did we choose Lyle Wagner? Well, the reason being, I was very chicken about being a female, being a hostess of a variety show, because the only other lady who has done it and lasted was Dinah Shore. And I think it was because at that time, we've been on now 6 years, people felt a little uneasy about a woman coming out and saying, hey, tonight we got a show for you and so forth. And so I felt that if I had a big, strong, handsome announcer to bounce off of, so to speak, it might help me, and he could announce the guests and I could just do takes and, look at him. Well, it worked for about 2 weeks. And then we ran dry of jokes about Lyle's looks and about my being hot and heavy for him, And then it made me look like a lascivious old lady. So we stopped it, and I started to get a little more confidence about it, introducing the guests. None of that is written. What I usually say, it just comes out, which is why it sounds like that. And Lyle, in the meantime, developed into being a much greater asset than we thought. We had only hired him to announce and to stand there and be this good-looking hulk of a man. But now he works into sketches beautifully. And so it's become a little rep company of Lyle and Vicki and Harvey. Yes?
I was just wondering, what does the ear gesture mean that you do at the end of your...
Originally, when I went to New York, I got my first job on the Paul Winchell Kitty TV show. I was a girlfriend of the dummies, and I called my grandmother, and she said, say hello to me. And I realized, you're not allowed to say, hi, Nanny, on television, and so I said, I'll pull my ear. And so she died 5 years ago, but I keep doing it now. It's for my kids. And so that's been quite a few years. And this is the honest to God's truth. This earlobe was measured a few years ago by Man from Life magazine, and it's like a 1/16 of an inch longer than the other one. But I still keep the left ear. I pull it.
Carol?
Yeah.
We saw you and Julie Andrews last year rehearsing at Beverly Hilton for the Directors Guild Awards. We enjoyed that a lot. We were wondering if you're going to be doing another special or...
I would love very much to do another special with Julie. She's on ABC now, and I'm with CBS, so we'd probably have to do it on NBC. I don't know what her schedule is. She works very hard. I know they have 3 more to do, and she's probably going to take a vacation. And I have heard rumors, I don't know if it's true, that next year she may, her show may come from London. But we had talked about possibly doing a concert together at the London Palladium and maybe another one at the New York Palace Theater and maybe in Pocatello, Idaho at the Princess Theater if that does exist. Yeah. Do you think I'll ever do a skin flick? No, the closest I came to that was Pete and Tilly when we got undressed. I don't know if you saw it or not. I was down to 2 bras, 4 pairs of pants, and 3 pairs of pantyhose, and that was about it. Not that there's anything to see, I just feel there's enough violence in the movies.
Carol?
Yeah.
In 1964, I was in New York, and I remember it was as hard to get tickets for Funny Girl as it was to see Fade Out, Fade In, both of which I saw. I fell asleep during Funny Girl, but I stayed awake through yours. Why did it close?
Goodness.
Why did it close so soon, though?
I had a neck injury that happened to me in Fade Out, and so I was in traction for about 4 or 5 weeks, and that closed the show. And I have regretted it, but boy, 8 shows a week is very tough, especially a musical. And I'd had a problem with the neck since 1960 when I jumped over a couch on the Gary Moore show and fell the wrong way. I did stunts on Gary's show, you know, that's really kind of why they hired me. And I'd never been a stunt woman, but I told them I could do it. And I wound up hurting myself. Yeah. I prefer television because I really feel I'm a creature of the tube. That's where most of my success happened. And I like the variety of it, and I like working fast. Doing the movie was very interesting, and it went fast compared to most movies, but I got tired between the setups. You know, they have to stop and light for the close-ups and light for the master, and I'd go back in and play a whole game of Scrabble, you know, before they were ready. And I'm used to working at top speed, and we put a show together in 2 days. We start on Monday, and we have a run-through on Wednesday, and we know everything. And as far as the cue cards go, we only use them for reference if we make changes at the last minute. And I like having different guests, and the variety of that is much more fun. Of course, movie, you get more preparation, so it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. If it's a good film, it's terrific to do it, because then it's around a long time. If it's a bad television show, it's only on once, and you never rerun it.
Carol?
Mm-hmm.
Right here.
Yeah.
Do you approve of columnists like Joyce Haber and Rona Barrett and the material they write on?
And what?
And the material that they write on.
Well, let me tell you, it's, I think, a necessary thing in our business that they have. I think it's unfortunate that some of them have the power that they do, and they have to be very careful in checking out their stories. The thing I totally disapprove of are the movie magazines. I think they should really be wiped out of business. In fact, I was responsible for wiping one out myself. I sued them, and I think if more people would stand up, because they feel that, oh, well, let's ignore it, you know. And I laid it on them and sued them, and I won, and they're out of business. And those are the things. They just make it up. I haven't been interviewed by a movie bank. I don't even know the name of a TV movie. I don't know what it was. And I haven't been interviewed by a movie magazine in years. And stories still come out with misquotes and the whole thing. Julie sued, too, and she won. They had a whole thing about her and her psychiatrist. It was as if she had invited a reporter in to sit with a session, you know. Nobody would do that, and she sued and she won. And those really, they're the bottom of the barrel as far as I'm concerned.
Hello.
Hello.
I don't know if you remember when you were in this with Gomer Pyle and you played a whack.
Yes.
But I somehow get the notion that character was really you about some episode that went in your life, something like the story.
I was never a whack.
But, you know, like you thought a guy really liked you, but he didn't like you.
Oh, that's happened in my life, but not in the Army. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. All right.
Oh, well, that's very nice. Thank you. Thank you. All the way back, yes.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
I just wondered, like, I was always interested if you picked Vicki Lawrence because she looked like you, or, you know, I know she has talent, but I was just wondering how that all came about.
She wrote me a fan letter. She was 17, and we hadn't started our show yet, but we were looking for someone to play my kid's sister in that segment of the show. And I was pregnant, It was in November, and I was due in January, and we were going to start our show the following September. And I got this letter at home from Vicki, and I had never met her, and it was just wanting advice, not wanting to meet me or anything, but just she was going to graduate from high school that semester, and she wanted to know if she should go to college or whatnot. And it was a very intelligent letter, and she enclosed a picture of herself. She was a member of the Young Americans. And there was also an article that they were going to have a talent contest that weekend out at the Hollywood racetrack for the title of Miss Fireball. And Vicki was going to be in that contest. And I don't know, I got some vibes, or I don't know what it was, from the letter. So I said to my husband, hey, do you want to go see a Miss Fireball contest tomorrow night? And he said, you're bananas, you're pregnant. I said, humor me. So I called Vicki. In the article, it told me what her father's name was, Howard Lawrence, and they lived in Inglewood. So I looked their number up in the book, and her mother answered the phone. I said, is Vicki there? And she said, who's calling? I said, this is Carol Burnett. And she said, oh, just a minute. And, and Vicki got on the phone. She said, oh, hi, Marcia. She thought it was, somebody, one of her friends putting her on. And I said, no, I got your letter, and my husband and I would like to come out and see the Miss Fireball contest tomorrow night. She says, you're kidding. And I said, are you doing something that you would like us to see? She said, come on. So we sneaked in after the lights went out, and Vicki won. And she was quite good, a total rank amateur, as a matter of fact, but very winning and funny. So I never told her at that time that what we had in mind. I hadn't told her. So we just kept in touch, and then finally we were testing a lot of girls for the role, and we remembered Vicki and called her, and she got the part. And she's really developed into a fine young entertainer. She's married now to Bobby Russell, who's a marvelous songwriter. He wrote God Didn't Make Little Green Apples and a bunch of goodies, and very happily married and working away.
Ms. Burnett, how do you feel about the unemployment rate in the motion picture industry?
Well, I think it's awful. No, what can I say? The problem, too, is that there are no want ads for actors or people in show business. Everybody wants to be in it because the type of work it does entail. It's a lot harder than we all think, but it is fun, and it's nice to get up in the morning and look forward to going to work and to make money in your chosen profession. So keep at it, because if you have talent, you'll get there, but you also have to have the perseverance. Yeah. You love my laugh? I can't put it on. Maybe I'll say something funny, and I'll do it. Yeah.
Have you ever got hurt or injured on the show? Because I know you do some wild things, and I saw the routine you did with Sid Caesar on the Ed Sullivan
Oh, no, that was with Durward Kirby when I went out the window and got all beat up. Yeah.
And I saw those things. I was just wondering if you ever got hurt or
Well, actually, not. Well, the one time jumping over the couch, I had hurt my neck, and just a couple of months ago, I have a torn tendon in my shoulder, and I've got like a half-frozen shoulder now, so I've got to do 750 exercises a day.
Do you think it's all worth it?
Huh? Is it worth it? Yeah, I can pay the doctor bills. Yeah, the laugh was worth it. Yeah. Nora Desmond, you're talking about the silent film actress thing. No, I wanted to do her ever since I saw Sunset Boulevard again on television. So, and Harvey is a perfect Max on that. And it's just a way to, when you do something like that, you really, when you go crazy on stage, you're so calm the rest of the time. I think it's terrific therapy. I think that's why Don Rickles is really pretty well adjusted, because he goes out and screams and yells and goes crazy on stage, and he's a pussycat off stage. And after I do Nora Desmond for 2 weeks, nothing bothers me. Another good way is to buy a cheap set of dishes when you get upset and go in the backyard and break them. Yeah.
Carol, how much control do you have over your material?
Actually, I'm not temperamental at all. I think in a way it would be better if I were a little more so. If I really hate it, I won't go out and do it. There are times when one does have to go out because, face it, we have to do 53 minutes a week. And I was talking to the guys backstage, and it takes Neil Simon a year to write a 2-hour play. So the writer, I think that the most difficult job in the world is writing comedy material. You know, they get there Monday morning, and there's a blank piece of paper that says, okay, be funny. So if it's fair to middling, I will go out. And as I say, Harvey and I will try to get up the enthusiasm and snow them with energy. If it really goes against the grain, we'll throw it out. But sometimes it's tough because then there's nothing left to put in. You know, the hopper's empty, as we say. We have had different writers over the years. I think it's really good. I've got some of Flip's writers. Flip has some of ours. Laugh-In writers have come over to us and back and forth because they get sapped, you know, writing for me, and so it's time to move on to something else. So they do revolve, yeah. And I think it's a good idea. Yes?
Who thought up the idea for As the Stomach Turns?
Gail Parent and Kenny Solms. Yeah, they thought that up, and I just love it. We've gotten some static from the network because of the title. There's some lady who wrote As the World Turns, and she gets really mad when we put it on, you know, but I don't care. Yes.
Yeah, what's the first thing that goes through your mind when we have an earthquake?
Oh, my kids. I go right to the kids' room. Yeah. And I'm with them, and they comfort me. Yeah? Is the roving mic there? Or, oh, this young man. Censorship, have we ever had trouble? Not too much. There's a marvelous story. Well, it's gotten better, you know. Now, for instance, there are certain things Dean Martin can do that I can't do. Not because I'm a woman, it's just because of Dean being Dean and my being who I am, that I wouldn't do that, you know. But there's a great story that happened our second year with the censorship department. Harvey and I were doing a thing about a nudist colony. And Harvey was interviewing me, voiceover, and I was supposed to be nude, and I'm standing behind this fence that reveals my shoulders and then my knees down to basketball shoes, you know, and the fence says keep out, you know. And I'm a nudist. And Harvey says, well, what do you do for recreation? And I said, well, we have dances every Saturday. And Harvey says, well, how do nudists dance? And my answer was very carefully. So, you know, it was a mild laugh, but the censor said, you can't say that. That's, you know. And so we said, well, do you have any other suggestions? So they went away and they came back, and this is what they gave me. He said, do you have dances? And I said, yes. And he said, how do nudists dance? And I said, cheek to cheek. And they bought that. So, you know, go fight City Hall. You never know.
What is your favorite character that you do, and can you do a little bit of it?
Oh, well, it's hard to do something like that, you know, without the makeup or anything. I don't have one specific favorite character. I just like doing the movie takeoffs and the hokey woman's pictures and getting very dramatic and then having a quick left turn for the laugh. And I love putting on the old garb, you know. I enjoy doing Joan Crawford and people like that. Mm-hmm.
Have you been offered any other films since Pete and Tilly?
Yes, but you know, it's a funny thing. Breaking through, see, the movie people are really kind of snobbish about television people. They call us the bastards of the medium, you know, which is what movies were considered by the theater when they started. And so it's very tough for a television personality to be offered a good movie. That's why I was so shocked when Walter called. But these gentlemen were not prejudiced about that. They just felt that I could be Tilly. Now, all I'm getting are Tilly scripts, which is very strange. They keep sending these long-suffering, poor wife scripts, and they're not nearly as good as the original was. I'd love to do a musical, but I'm afraid they're not going to come back for a while. It's too bad.
So you are going to wait until they
Oh,
offer you a
yeah,
different
there's
character.
no hurry. I have a good time with my show. I don't want to be a movie star. I'd much rather stay where I am. Mm-hmm.
Have you thought of putting on another Wonderful, Wonderful Years?
I would love to. The Wonderful Years segment that the Gary Moore Show had was a wonderful segment. It's owned, however, by two writers, and I don't think they'll sell it. You know, they own the idea. And so we've kind of concentrated on doing that wonderful studio, you know, and we do tributes to motion picture studios.
Carol,
Wonderful, yeah.
how are your guests chosen for the show?
I don't choose them, or I'd have the whole world on the show. I can't say no to anybody. I'd book the whole show. So they're chosen by the head writers and the producer. And of course, I have a say-so. If I throw up at the name, a mention of some name, you know, they say, well, I think she doesn't like that person. You know? But usually, also, I have some favorite guests, and the ones that keep coming back, you will know, are the ones who learn their lines, who are fun to be with, who are on time, who are professional, and who are talented.
Carol, I was fortunate enough to be at your show with Petula Clark and John Biner.
Yes.
And I thought that set with John Biner as doing the Donald Duck routine was unbelievable, really funny.
Wasn't he marvelous doing Donald Duck? Yeah.
You plan on having him back?
Yes, I'd like to have John back. And this was the first time he was on our show. He was talking about John Biner, and it's nice to meet some new people like that.
Carol? I'm here.
Oh, yeah.
When you're working with other comedians, do you feel like you have to compete with them to be...
No, I've never felt any competition with any other comedian or comedian. In fact, there are lots of times when I'd like to give them the main part because they are my guests. And if they're better in that particular role than I would be, I want them to have it because, after all, it's only for the good of the show. And some of my best friends are comics.
Carol?
Yeah.
Whatever happened to the Smothers Brothers?
So they're doing a lot of concerts now, I think, and guest shots, and I think they're brilliant.
Will they ever come back and do any TV?
I
guest
think so.
appearances?
I think so. I think the whole thing that happened was very silly, and if it had been going on today, I don't think they ever would have been fired. Everything's progressed so far now.
Carol?
Oh. Yeah.
You may be very busy to watch television. I was wondering what some.
I watch it.
What are some of your preferences for shows?
I love adventure.
Now and over the years.
Things. I think I think some of the scripts on Hawaii Five-0 are excellent, and the acting. And I like the movies of the week. I think they're doing very good things. What do I usually? I like All in the Family and Mary. And I'm torn between Mary and Julie, so I switch back and forth, you know, because they're on opposite each other.
Is it true you're really shy about singing unless you can dress up funny?
Yeah, I hate to sing alone. I like to sing with people. It doesn't bother me. I could do a medley and password every week and I'd be happy.
Carol, after experiencing, I'm over here.
Oh, hi.
Hi. After experiencing so much success, how do you stay so humble?
That's very nice. Oh, well, that's such a compliment, and I'd sound like I'm dirt kicking if I could really answer that. I think you've just got to know that you were really lucky to get, as I said before, to be able to get up and go to work and look forward to it. There's a lot of luck that, I mean, there but for you go I, so forth, and it can leave just as quickly as it came. And so, you know, take it and thank God and make sure your kids have clothes and the rent's paid for and knock on wood and do your job and hopefully everything will continue as it is. You know, but there's no room, I don't think, for temperament. I really get bugged if I see people in the profession who are snooty, you know, but they might be stinkers if they'd been plumbers. Who knows, you know. I guess it's enzymes.
Carol, would you like to have Walter Matthau on your show?
I'd love to have Walter on my show. I'd be very nervous, though, because Walter's very choosy about material, and I'd be so scared. And we usually don't give guests approval of material. Otherwise, we'd never get a show on. So unless it was really a terrific sketch that I would know he'd love, I'd hate to ask him and put him on the spot.
Carol, how did you get together with Harvey Korman, who has to be one of the greatest?
Oh, isn't he? I was a fan of his when he was on the Danny Kaye show. He was on Danny's show for 4 years, and when we were starting our show, Danny's show had gone off, and I kept saying, what we need is a Harvey Korman. And then all of a sudden, we looked at each other and said, why don't we call Harvey Korman? And we did, and he was available.
Would you ever do a film like Cabaret? And what did you think of it? In Liza
Oh,
Minnelli?
I adored it. I thought it was terrific, and I would love to do a film like that. I think probably that's where the musicals are headed now.
Why don't you have her on your show?
I have. Liza's been on our show twice, but now with being a movie, in the movies, and she goes on location a lot, it would be very difficult. I'd love to do a special with her, But it's really hard. There's so many people I want to work with. And it's hard to get the times to mesh. Yeah.
You don't intend to leave without doing your Tarzan yell, do you?
You want me to do it for you? Okay. Oh my God. You know how that developed, I must tell you, when I was about 8 years old, because I had a beautiful cousin. I still have her. She's about a year older than I am. Gorgeous, blonde hair, stacked, and the whole thing. And we grew up together. So we would play things like Nelson and Jeanette, and I would be Nelson. And of course Tarzan and Jane, and she would be Jane, and that's how the Tarzan yell developed. But that's how I vocalize before I have to do a song, because it really revs me up some way. And I taught Marilyn Horne and Eileen Farrell how to do the Tarzan yell, two brilliant opera singers, and they're in their room going, It works.
What does your husband think of you working?
Well, we work together, so it's nice.
What does he do?
He's a producer. But it's a tough thing, because everybody does laugh about that. But he really is. He was a producer before I met him, so I didn't give him the job. He gave me mine. Yeah.
College students are probably the most critical of anyone, and I think that from this crowd here, I hope you know that I think most of us feel that you're one of the real people on television.
Oh, God, that's so nice. Thank you. I told, look at me, I got flop sweat on the palms of my hand, because I know I was very nervous today about coming, because I know what you say, that you are very critical and very with it, and I thought, oh, I'm not, ready for this.
What?
Yeah.
Hi. I made up a poem for you a long time ago, and I thought, well, anyway.
Lay it on me.
It goes, oh, thank you. It goes, Corky Worky, the famous star, sends her love near and far. CBS is where she works, accompanied by Harvey, the funny jerk. Rain nor sleet nor windy storms stop the girls from Lyle Wagner's arms. Then the cast turns funny and pale when Corky does her Tarzan yell. But Corky's funny, and her funniness counts, for her publicity and charm brings people in all amounts. Corky, you're my closest friend, and this is true, because see, Corky, I love you. Soon you and I will meet, we'll shake hands and laugh and exchange our treats. So if you're sad, write me or sing a song, but please don't let your letters take so long.
Oh, that's sweet.
You and Lucille Ball are one of my favorite comedians. How did you like working with her?
Lucy? Oh, my God. She's really a perfectionist. That is a lady who knows everything. And I love working with her. That's what you ask. She's always been very encouraging to me. And I first met her when I was in Once Upon a Mattress in New York. And she came backstage, and I almost fell through the floor at this lady coming back. And then we're very close friends, and she is one of the few performers who knows almost every facet of the business, and I mean the lighting and the scenery and the whole thing. I would go crazy if I looked into all that. I'm not built that way, but she knows her oats, and that's why she's where she is today and has stayed that way. Mm-hmm. One more question. Okay.
Carol?
Oh,
Yes.
Carol.
Yes.
In '68, I was living in New York at the rehearsal club, and your picture is up very
Yes.
prominently, and you're always spoken of there.
Mhm.
And I just wondered if you really felt that that had, if being there
The rehearsal
helped
club?
you at all.
Oh, yes.
If you took any active interest
Yes, I did.
now in the way it's progressing.
Yes, I mention it all the time. There's a marvelous, and if you do go to New York, ladies, go to the rehearsal club. It's a boarding house for girls interested in the theater, and the price is right. When I was there, it was $18 a week, room and board. Now it's a little more, but they really help. I used to make the rounds from the rehearsal club, and I'd go to various agents' offices and stuff. I didn't get chased around a desk once. And one man said, well, let me know when you're in something. And I said, how do I get in something unless you put me in something or submit me for an audition? And he says, I don't know, go put on your own show. So I went home to the rehearsal club, and I was president of the club at the time, and I called a meeting, and usually at the meetings we complained about the food, and that was it. And so I said, girls, I sounded like Judy Garland and Mickey Rooney, I said, we're going to put on a show. And so all the older girls went, and they went up to their rooms to watch television. So there were about 25 of us new ones left. And they said, how are we going to do it? How are we going to get the money? I said, I don't know, but we're going to do it, and we're going to invite all those agents and producers and, Well, we did. We rented a rehearsal hall, and each one of us chipped in $0.25 apiece, 25 of us a night. We wrote our own show, and then anybody who had any money donated it, and then anybody who had any rich parents or poor, called, and dollars would come in. So we had the first act written, and we showed it to the board members of the club, of the rehearsal club, who were very wealthy, nice ladies, and they gave us the rest of the money to put on the show, and we sent out invitations to every producer, director, agent in town in New York, and we said, okay, you said let us know when we're in something, we're in it, put your money where your mouth is and come to our show. And it was free, and they had to just have their postcard to get in, and we did it for 3 nights, and out of that, about 6 of us got work. And so if it doesn't come to you, you have to go to it. You have to make it happen. And I had given myself 5 years, and if I wasn't earning a living, by that I don't mean being above the title or even just below it, I mean in the chorus. If I could just earn a living within 5 years, I wasn't going to give up. But if, after really trying, if I didn't make it in 5 years, I think then something's wrong, so you might as well go into something else.
Oh, Carol?
Yeah?
10 seconds. I know you're not quite so at ease doing straight material as comedy material, but
Right.
I think one of the highlights of your season was on last week, The Ladies Who Lunch.
Oh, thank you.
And I was wondering if you were planning anything like that for the future.
Well,
or
that's
what
a terrific piece of material. It's from Company. Steve Sondheim wrote it. And I think the only reason we did it was a sketch fell through. And I had heard it, and they put me in a wig, and I pretended I was somebody else. So if I can find a piece of material like that again, I will do it. Listen, I can't tell you, I would love to, if you'll have me, I'd love to come back and bring some of my friends with me next year. And this really was, this is one of the nicest afternoons I've ever spent, and I thank you, and you really made me feel welcome, and God bless, and do write about the tickets, okay?